I can't say it enough. I'm just so excited we have it for free for the first time in 15 years. This is like the day that I've dreamed of.
How much is it?
A lot. It's like $20 to $40 a month if you're a student, which I think adds up. So, anyway, yeah. Paige?
How long will that last for? Because I
don't know.
Student account, so I was wondering
Oh,
if I only subscribe to that.
I would call them and tell them to put your account on hold, and then they should be able to hold it. Don't cancel it yet because, and if they say that you have to cancel it, you'll have to fight with them because the penalty for canceling is paying the remainder of your subscription. Do that thing where you're like, well, let me talk to your manager. Don't be shy. I'm going to make all of you do it. And once you get transferred 1, maybe 2 times, they will finally make it so that they don't pay you. Cami?
You can do whatever you want by speaking to a supervisor, I promise you.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far, but they're willing to work with you. They're willing to work. Don't end up on the news. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Cami said. So when I get here, I actually don't have a shortcut to Photoshop. And so if you remember from last week, I just come down here and start typing in photo. Photoshop comes up to make, what? Oh, that's right. I know why. I'm gonna wait. Are you Carmen by deduction? Hey, nice to meet you, Carmen. Were you able to hop online and watch our lecture from last week? No. So there are no days off in this class. I only get to see you guys once a week, and I'm going to squeeze everything I can out of every minute. So you're going to have a busy week, but even if you're not here, you guys have to be logging into Canvas, looking at the assignments, lectures, things like that. Okay. So as soon as you're logged in, let me know. I can't stop projecting until you guys are good to go. Yep.
Is this working?
Say that one more time.
Is this working?
I don't know. So you tried logging in right before, right? Remind me your name. Are you the other Taylor?
No,
No, Maddie.
No, I didn't log on to this.
Oh.
Somebody else was
Oh,
on
it's
it,
probably
so
from
I'm
this
just
morning.
like,
How is David, you said, came in?
Maybe, but she's trying to log in and it's spinning. Does that say? Preparing Windows?
Yes.
Leave it. It might. So they did a big update over the weekend, so it might just be updating. But if you want, there should be at least there's a computer next to Cami, right? Are you Cami?
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So log off that computer. He left all of the computers on for us, so it's a little confusing. Log that one off and try to log in. And then as soon as you're on, let me know. And then if this one comes up, I'll let you know. I'm going to face this towards me, so if I see something change, I'll let you know. Okay. Let me wait just one more minute. Now, in case you missed it at the beginning of class, I want you guys to meet me in Canvas. So maybe actually we'll start there. I'm just going to walk you through this part. So you'll see it on the lecture. You just won't see it here right now. I'm switching to student view so I can see what you see. But we have several files that we will be working on today in class. So if it says exercise, we need that one. So 01, selection and masking methods exercise. And we will also need photoshopping for gold. So if you can, click on photoshopping for gold to begin with. And again, I know you're doing this kind of blindly. Lamia, have you been able to log into that one?
No.
Or is it still logging off?
Yeah, preparing Windows.
Oh my gosh, weird. Maybe there was a big change in your account for some reason. So I'm going to give you a minute after this so that you can download, but this one's still preparing too. Did anybody else have trouble trying to get their computer? Are you preparing? Raise your hand if you're still preparing Windows. Okay, we'll see what's going on. Okay. For the rest of you, what I want you guys to do, we mentioned last week, which seems like it was a year ago now, that when you are in our class, you can save to your network drive. And I know that there's a couple people who couldn't see that yet, and I think Julianne, you're still one of them. What the network drive allows you to do is sit at any computer and still see your work, and even the 2 computer labs across the hall. So all of our labs are open labs. So even if there's a class going on, as long as there's a seat, you can go in and work. If you were to just save on the desktop, like if I just worked on the desktop, and left, there is a chance, like this weekend, if they do updates, they wipe everything. So one, my work is gone. The second thing is, if they didn't wipe it, let's say Paige wanted to sit here today. Now Paige is sitting in the computer where all of my work is. So it's best to save it on the drive so you can kind of be mobile. So do this for me. Right click on it and go to Save Link As. And Lamia, I'm still preparing Windows over here. Sorry, no updates for you. When you go to Save Link As, Windows Explorer will pop up. Okay. And what I want you guys to do, on the right side, do you see where it says This PC? So right side down towards the bottom. Right. And then when you're there, down at the bottom, do you see where it says Network Locations? This is where your screen will look different than mine. If your network drive is working correctly, you're going to see your login name. So mine would be nnawabi. Yours might be whatever it is when you log in. So again, I got here by going to This PC, and then I scrolled down to the bottom where it says Network Locations. This PC, Network Locations. Is there anybody who doesn't see their username under Network Locations? Okay, David, yours isn't there yet?
No, it's weird because last time I saw it.
Weird things happened when they did the update. I know that, let's see, was it you, Abby, who said that you logged off and then logged back in and it reconnected? So you might want to, I wouldn't do that now, just so we can keep going. Save it on your desktop, but before you go, log off and then log back in. Now, at the end of class, if anybody can't see their login information, put your username up on the board and your S number, and I will send it. So, Carmen, you'll have to check that too. Are you still preparing Windows?
Yeah.
What on earth? Okay. Sorry, ladies. I have to keep going just because we have a lot to cover. Okay? So, save in that location if you're able to get to it. So you're going to do before you put it in that location, the other thing that I would suggest doing, maybe make a folder for every class. So for this class, you can call it, I technically consider this, it's the second week, but I call it the first week because it's like the real first week of instruction. That's why all of our assignments are called 01. So if you make a folder in there, first call it, interior design digital graphics. We may have done that last week together. Go right back in that folder, and then you can save these under week 2 or put them back in week 1, either way. Oh no, so this one is mad at saying another program is being installed. Okay, it's on. Do you want to come up here? Okay, let's see if we can get you in there. I hope it is being nice. And so I guess Lamia, for now, you can just go on Canvas and save these. Now, after you get Photoshopping for Gold, go back out to your assignments, and there is so these are going to sound the exact same. So look for the one that ends in exercise. So masking methods exercise. Exercise, exercise. And there's 4 files in there. Chuck's, Spark Series, Brewer, and Bertoa. Save those 4 the same way. So right click, save as. And again, I'm sorry you're not seeing this projected, but you will see it on the recording. Carmen, did you get in?
No.
Is it okay? So I'm actually going to start projecting just to keep going. Now the only thing I'm worried about when I did that, did that hide your login screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just show this for a minute, and then let me see if I can actually just disconnect you. Let's see. Carmen, what is your username? Is it C something?
Yeah. C
Now, did you log into that when you got here?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do this one more time. View. Do me one other favor. What does it say on the top of your computer? There should be a sticker that tells me your computer name.
Where?
So sorry, I'm down at the bottom. You should have a big black base.
It's TB409.
Okay.
L17.
L17? Okay, there you are. Okay, I think because you're logging in, I still don't see you on here, unfortunately. Shoot. Okay, yeah, you haven't even populated on here yet. Let me try this. Let me just stop showing. Maybe we will be lucky and you'll be able to see it. Okay, so keep with our lecture. So as you guys can see me now, so again, right click, save link as, and put them right back in those folders. And if you are just seeing this for the first time, you can move my screen. So I don't have to be front and center. So you can grab my screen just like you would any other window and kind of move me out of the way. So now I'm just putting everything into that same location. And that should make it easier for us to find our work. Yep, Cami, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You're in Chrome, so in Edge or Internet Explorer, it's just save target as, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter when going.
Same thing though. Sorry, I mentioned that last week. I forgot to do that this week.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay, now after that, once you get everything downloaded, Lamia, were you able to download okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now let's see if Photoshop is being our friend this week. So you can see it here in the class, but at home you might not be able to see it in the recording, but I'm just going to the search. I'm typing in Photoshop, and Adobe Photoshop should pop up. Now from here, I'm going to see if I can click and drag. No, I can't yet. But I'm just going to go ahead and launch it. But I would like to make a shortcut for it so that I can easily get into it. Okay, so it looks like it remembered me from last time. Let me make sure. It's not pulling up yet. So it isn't making me log in yet, but who knows. Oh yeah, when I clicked on it, it opened up in Internet Explorer. Did you guys have to log in again the second time?
Yes.
You guys had to? Okay. I'll give you guys some time to log in. So remember, you're using the Enterprise ID and use that same login information that you guys used to get on your computer today. I don't think I saved the photoshopping for gold yet. So I'm going to grab that too. This will be really typical at the beginning of class. So whenever you guys get here, go ahead and just start downloading the files that we need for our exercises. And then that way we can hop into things really quickly. If you weren't here last week, I should mention that we actually need one file from last week. If you go under assignments, there is one called Exploring Image File Formats. Let me make sure that this is it. We did a couple. We want this one right here. The Photoshop file example .psd. That's the one that we want. For those of you who were here, I'm just going to show you how to retrieve it from your history. Okay, if you don't see it there, I'll pause so you can come back to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and start recording again. Maddie, is that you?
Yeah, mine just opened up a light.
Yours just what?
Just opened up a light.
A light?
White.
Oh, okay. So, but does it say Photoshop example right here?
Yeah, it's right. It's just not.
Okay.
Has a
go to your layers. Wait, sorry, it's not SLCC?
Yeah, it's just white.
Okay, do you have, on your layers menu, do you see anything here? Let's try this again. So here we are. We talked about this file a little bit last week, but now I want to spend a little bit more time talking about how Photoshop files are typically organized and how you can help kind of edit them and reorganize them if you need to. So the first thing that I want to do is to, again, make sure that your screen looks somewhat like my screen. I think that's really important the first few days. So I'm going to take my screen and change it back to, so if I go to Window, Workspace, and then Essentials, which is the default, this is what your screen typically looks like the first time you open up Photoshop, whether it's here or at home. And again, a little bit of a control freak, but for the first few weeks, I want our screens to match, so it's easy for you to see where I am pointing to. I'm going to click on the word Learn right here, and I'm going to drag it over here, and then in the upper right, there's an X. I'm going to close out. I'm here to teach you, so I'm going to ditch those for now. Libraries are not working for some reason, so we're ditching that too. And then the last thing that I do, I like as much real estate as possible, so I always collapse this menu here. So these three little buttons, or these two buttons, collapse the icons. This is typically where you will find me. Okay. If you don't want to go through that every time, what you can do right now is go to Window, Workspace, and then click on New Workspace and just give it a name. So I've already saved this as NYMA 1250. Whatever you'd like to do. As we go through this semester, we will be adding more menus, so you can come back and add to it, kind of save over it, maybe resave it as a new one. It's up to you. But where I'd like you guys to meet me is click on Layers over here in the collapsed menu. And before we get too far, down towards the bottom of this menu, you'll see kind of a darker black line, gray line. And when you put your cursor over it, eventually you'll see a double-headed arrow. I think when I am recording or projecting, I'm projecting right now, right? Do you guys see that double-headed arrow, right? No, you don't. I'm looking at Soren's screen and I see it there. But on mine it looks like solid red, but on yours it should look like a white double-headed arrow. Click and drag, because as this semester goes on, we're going to have lots of layers. So I want you to see as much of your layer menu as possible. So again, take a moment right now, drag this down, give it some space. And then we're going to talk about what we're looking at. There's a lot of subtle things in Photoshop when we first start out. So the first thing is, right now, if I were to click on the Salt Lake Community College logo, you can click on it and move it around as long as you are in our default V setting. So as I mentioned last week, 95% of the time we will be in V or move. Does that sound familiar? If it doesn't, download that, V or move. This will be the same thing in Adobe Photoshop. And I'm sorry, I have kicked off my shoes. It's the only thing I can take off without offending. I'm so hot. So hot. Hey, so we can take this logo, and the thing that's interesting about the logo is that if I were to click right here, it doesn't move it. You actually have to click on part of the logo where there's like pixels to see. Right now, if I were to go back here, I'm actually clicking on the background and it won't let me move the background. So make sure you're actually selecting on part of that image. You can move it around. And the other thing that I wanted to point out, well, let's do this. Let's put the logo like right on top of my face. Okay. One day I will tattoo this logo on my forehead. But until then, the way that layers are ordered in Photoshop is whatever is on top is what's on front. And as we go down the list, that's what will be at the back. So you'll notice that right now background is locked and it's in the very back. Do you guys see that subtle little lock right there? Are you guys okay? Good? Okay. If you ever need me, holler. Yes, Lamia? Sorry? So hit Escape or Control D, and that isn't the Photoshop file. This is the JPEG file. So go back and look for the PSD. You can download it, you can look through your history, and then you can meet us back here. Okay? Alright, so with this one though, what you can do right now, do I have any layers selected? If you were looking at my layer manager. No. Right now, which one is selected? The logo. It's really subtle, but do you see how it went from this kind of dark gray color to light gray when I clicked on it? You could also just come up here, let me deselect it. You could also come over here and click on Slcc logo. So that really subtle change in gray lets you know which layer is selected. Do this for me. Drop it down. So if you take your mouse and click and hold and then drag it, do you guys see that on my screen a blue line pops up under favorite teacher? Let go of it right there and tell me what happens to my face. Yeah, so you can see that we're layering it behind. So now favorite teacher is on top, the logo is behind it, but this doesn't, it didn't really look believable before. Bear with me, but let's make it look a little bit more believable and let's send this logo even behind the outfit. Lamia, did you find your file? Good, that was quick. And then hit Control D for me. You don't need to highlight anything. Just hit V to make sure you're in Move and just click on the logo and move it around. You actually have to click on a color. Sorry, hit Escape. Now hit Control D just in case. Okay, now click on like the actual logo color, like click on the red stripe or the blue stripe. Yes, and now click and move, so hold it and move it. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yep. All right, now from here, what I want to do, let's say that I don't want to see the logo anymore. What would you guys do without me telling you? And see if it works. Good, pretend I'm not eating a banana. You don't want me to be hangry, people. Unclick the eye, and this controls your visibility. So I think layer visibility is really easy to do. Basically, if the eye is on, you can see it. If the eye is off, you can't see it. Now we also get into this situation. Let's grab favorite teacher. That would be me, if you haven't figured it out yet. And let's drag that behind professional outfit. Okay. Surprise, surprise, it wasn't me. Okay. Now let me ask you, did we turn off my head? Just looking at my screen? Why can't we see it anymore? It's behind something now. So right off the bat, I just want you guys to get used to layer order and layer visibility. Right now, if I'm on favorite teacher, this will be really sad. Ah, my body. And if I wanted to then grab my face, I can try to put it back on, but put it back on top. So play with that for just a moment. Detach my head from my body, and then try to get it back on top if it's behind. Just for a minute and see how it goes. Is it doing what you want it to do? Yeah? Bless you. Okay. once you get, so let me come up to the board. What we've talked about so far is moving and ordering. Does everybody feel comfortable with that? Yeah? Carmen, yes?
My Photoshop froze.
No! Okay. Let's see what's going on.
It just froze. It's been and I didn't try to pause the button.
Okay, we might have to have you restart. I know it sounds crazy, but I think because it took so long to start up, I'm gonna hold this. Might put me on restart because I didn't start today. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna finish this one up, and then while we're putting up photoshopping for gold, let's just turn it off. Then I'm gonna pause, and then so try this one on your own later. But photoshopping for gold, I want you to do it first. Yeah. Make sure it turned on. I hope I held it down long enough. Okay. So other than poor Carmen, whose computer doesn't like her today, move order, you guys feel okay? Okay, super subtle thing on your layer list. What will you see happen to the name of the layer if you have it selected? Yeah, it's highlighted. It's just that light gray color. Good. And if you want to not delete a layer, but just turn it off so you don't have to deal with it, what do you click on? The eyeball. I see you. Yes. Okay, good. Now the next thing we're going to do is talk about grouping different things. So one thing that gets a little bit confusing is that, do you see that grouping and linking are different? Okay, so right now we know that favorite teacher and professional outfit, they're kind of part of a set, right? The two things make up one thing. So what we can do is come down here, and you see this little folder? This folder allows us to create a group so that all of those things stay together. Now, if you have a million things, it might be easier for you to group them together. So I'm going to click on the folder, and let's just rename that Naima teacher, whatever you want to do. And then similar to what we did with rearranging, I'm going to click on favorite teacher and kind of drag and drop it in there. Do you see that the folder kind of highlights blue? So as soon as I see that blue line, I can let go, and it also slightly indents. Do you see where the other layers are? So this one just shows that it's been dropped in there. So do my head, my outfit, rearrange the layers so my face is on top. So far, so good? No, I see a furrowed brow. I've asked you 10 times. Tell me your name one more time.
I'm Maddie.
Maddie? Okay, so we've got Maddie and Maddie. What is it not doing?
I just don't know what to do after I've opened the
Okay.
folder.
So do you have the group?
The group, it says group 1, yeah.
Okay, good. So double click on it, and it should highlight blue, and you can just start typing. You don't need to hit backspace, you don't need to put your mouse in there, just start typing. Okay, and then after you have that, grab your layers that you want to put in there, and do you see how right now, when I get on top of the folder, it highlights in blue? As soon as you see that, let go and it drops it in there for you. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, so drop both things in there. And then you might need to rearrange, like right now my head went to the back. Okay. So if I click on this folder, do you see how now I don't have these two things selected? I select on the folder. If I try to move these things, did they move together? No. So they're grouped, but they're not linked. What we're going to do next is linking. So with the group, it allows you to take a whole bunch of different layers and just put them in one folder. It kind of cleans up your layer organizer. Just because something is grouped together doesn't mean that it's moving together. Let me ask you guys again. I'm like a preacher up here. The more like yeses and hallelujahs and amens, we can just move along. Just because something is grouped, does it mean that it's moving together? No. That was so much better. Good. Now I'm going to show you guys how to link. So hopefully my face is somewhere on this body to where it's like somewhat believable. I don't know, I'll just kind of nudge it there. So the way that you could link things together is you hold the, so select my body, my head, whatever, what I want to be my body. Hold the shift key down and then select the other layer that you want to link. So holding the shift key while you click allows you to select more than one thing at the same time. Once they're both selected, you can come down here and just click this link. You see that the chain came up once you had more than one thing selected, and that chains them together. So now my head stays on my body. Another way you could do that, I think it's a little bit longer, you can right click, and right now it's saying unlink, but I could also have linked that way. So let me show you guys from the top. Let me undo that. So first select one of the layers, and then what key do I hold down to select multiple layers? Good. So I've got two layers selected, they're both highlighted. The shortcut is to come down and click this link. And then as soon as they're linked, you should be able to move both of them together. Does anybody want to see it one more time? Sure, I'm going to undo it.
I don't know what I did. I added some more things somehow.
More things. I don't know what that means, but do you at least have a group?
Files. Yeah, I have my group.
Okay, if you have extra stuff, we can delete it later. It won't affect my head attaching to my body. We're good there. So grab my head or my body. I won't tell the school. I'm gonna get fired, these are being recorded. Okay, once you have one of them selected, hold shift, grab the other one. Now, if you look at my screen, are they both highlighted like this? Okay, do you see this little link down here in my bottom left-hand corner? You should have a chain too. Click on those, and now they should move together. Did that work?
Yeah. No.
I didn't know what that answer was.
No. It looked like it did at first, but
Okay, you can check your screen. Right now, when you click on favorite teacher or outfit, does the link still come up?
yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so hit V just to make sure you're in move. And as long as you have one of them selected, you should be able to click and drag. Fastest marathon time ever.
Well, it's like the picture stays,
Yeah.
but
There's like a whole.
it's like
You made
in
so
the
many
background.
leaves. Okay, so you have lots of leaves. I mean, I would love for this to be true. Just turn her off. Say, wait your turn, wait your turn. I don't know what you did. That's what your history. You know, most of the time I won't either, and I'm never going to try to figure it out, to be completely honest. So let's go here. Let's see what this is. Okay, start here. I just jumped you up ahead. We are here. Now link and move.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
How can I put the face on the top?
Use this. Whatever's on top goes first. Okay. So click here and then move it on top of the outfit. There you go. Yeah. All right, quick recap. When we are looking at our layer toolbar and we want something to be up front, should it go at the top or the bottom of our layer list? Top. So top is front, bottom is back. One hint is that our backgrounds are always down here. Not always. If you have a background and it's locked, it stays back here. I wonder, I don't think I can, yeah. So it won't even let me go behind this because it's locked.
Unless you accidentally unlock it, in which case how do you relock it?
It's so not a big deal. I just unlocked it. Now I'm going to go hide back here because that's just what I want to do some days. Okay. If you want to relock it, right click, and there should be a lock in here somewhere. Oh, just click on this little lock right here.
Oh.
But that says lock all. Is that going to do? Yeah. Go ahead and do that lock. There is a way to right click lock, but I'm frazzled and I want to keep going. So we'll do it that way for now. Okay. Now, does everybody have me to where you can move me around like this? Okay. do one other thing that's kind of fun. We have room for fun every once in a while. Hit Control T, and I should have a blue box around me with some grip points. Find out what the grip points do. If you want my body to be based more in reality, you can hold the Shift key. And do your thing that way. So again, I held Shift to skew it, but you can rotate, you can change the size. Control T. So Control T stands for transform. It's one of the most basic things that we'll do over and over again. Basically, Control T is Photoshop in a nutshell. And I kid you not, teach your friends, teach your kids. I think everybody should know Photoshop.
If you like, you know, distort something too much and you want to like revert it back, how do you do that?
You can always hit escape and it'll completely go back to the very beginning. I think that's the best way. In Control T, escape will get you out of there. You could also, right here, everybody has a history menu. So everything you've done is tracking you right here. So you can go back to a certain point, but once you go back to that certain point, you can't ever go forward from there, right? Okay, is everybody okay to move on from here? These are just basic things that we'll keep coming back to. So in this lecture today, the first 36 minutes was just spent to this. So if you want to come back and practice with this exact same file, I would suggest pulling up the lecture and just working on it over the week if you have questions. Okay, I'm going to pause. Is to do. Let's open up Photoshopping for Gold. And we are going to start talking about something completely different, so brace yourselves. It's just going to be a white screen. Alright, my computer is being weird and it's still showing all of my Revit stuff. Typically I can look on my screen and see where you guys are at, but it's not happy today. I'm just happy it's projecting. Did everybody get that file open? I see a lot of white, so I'm assuming that you did. So what I'd like to do right now is, before we hop into what we're going to do, I really want to explain the concept of what we're talking about, because what we are working on today is going to affect everything we do for the rest of the semester. So this is the one thing that is really, really, really important to learn. And we will spend one more day on this. So in this class, I only get to see you guys once a week. We're going to do all of this again on the 10th, but it's important to me that you feel comfortable knowing what you're doing when you leave today. So you can do your homework. If it doesn't work the way that you want, you can come in with questions next week. We're going to try it one more time. And then from here on out, it's basically doing this over and over and over again, but in different ways. It does different things for us. So what we are about to do is, I'm about to teach you guys a concept in Photoshop called masking. Now, do any of you guys know what masking means? Okay. It's okay if you don't. That's what I'm here for. So in Photoshop, I always have to give the example of like a physical example first before we hop into Photoshop. So when I was like 2 years old, my family moved to the US from Afghanistan, and they were kind of sneaking out. It's a very cool story. I'll save it for another day. But because they were sneaking out, they couldn't take important things because they'd be like, why are you taking that thing if you're coming back in 2 weeks? So my mom took her photos, wrapped them up in diapers, and we were out. So she has photos. It's so awesome. But the thing that's horrible is Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart and her scrapbooking inspired my mom. And then when I was like probably 12 years old, she took all these beautiful, priceless photos and cut them up and put them on paper. I love you, Mom, but you are no Martha Stewart. So in Photoshop, we do not want to destroy pixels. That's not what we're doing in here. We aren't cutting, we aren't erasing. We will be doing something called masking. So those pictures, even I know that we can re-download them, we can restart them, but it's just easier if we never destroy them to begin with. So we're going to do something called masking. That's our first word for this next part, mask. What on earth is a mask? Every layer in Photoshop, if we look at our layer manager right now, you can see that I have a layer right here, right? And right next to it I have this thing that's just completely black. Am I not projecting?
No.
Oh, weird. Maybe that's why it was working, Carmen. At some point it was like, oh, and now I'm getting the thinking circles. Don't think, just project. Let me just try to show this so that we're ready to go. Am I back?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, good. Awesome. So again, in Photoshop, we always want to mask things. So what on earth is a mask? Imagine that my iPad is that picture that I was talking about, right? But this time, this picture exists in Photoshop. So this layer, let's say, is called iPad, because you could Photoshop an iPad, make some ridiculous app and pretend you were really playing it. So we've got this picture of an iPad in Photoshop, and when we put a mask on top of it, the mask controls the visibility of what we actually see on this image. The basic concept of masks is that white, the color white is visible, and black is invisible. Any Harry Potter fans out here? You don't have to answer. So black is the cloak of invisibility, okay? That means that if you don't want to see this screen right here, you can go into Photoshop, put in a layer mask, and what color would my layer mask have to be in order for me to mask this? I'm not erasing it, not cutting it out, I'm masking it. What color would it have to be in order for me to not see this part? White or black? Black, because you want to make it invisible. You want to make it go away. Good. So what I've done, and let me stay on this concept for just a minute. That's really basic, right? You've got black, you've got white. Pick one of those colors and have it be masked. The thing that we'll be working on is how you apply that black or white. We can paint it white, we can brush it on white. There's ways that we can select stuff and just automatically put on the mask and it gets selected for us. So that's where we're starting. We're trying to figure out the best way to apply the black or the white. What we're doing right now, this is just to teach you guys the concept of how a mask works. It's not teaching you the concept of how to apply a mask. Do you see the difference between the two? Okay. What we're going to do after this is how to actually apply the mask. This is just to see how the mask works. So in your file, we have a layer mask right here on layer 1. Do you guys see that? So it's really subtle, but you can go back and forth between the two. So this is the image that we're working on, and this is the mask that we're working on, the thing that's solid black. So if this is solid black, why am I only seeing a white screen? Black is invisible. I've hidden that entire layer behind the black mask. So what color do we need to start painting this layer to see it again? Good. We need to start painting it white. This is going to be the most basic way we're going to see things. Again, this isn't teaching you how to do it the right way. This is the fun way. You're going to pretend that you're doing a scratcher ticket. Please tell me you've done a scratcher ticket. You get a coin. Okay. This is going to be a Photoshop scratcher ticket. Again, I don't want to get fired, so I said that we're Photoshopping for gold. It's a scratcher ticket. Okay. Hit B for me for brush. Okay. So we've talked about V. I just did B for brush. And let's all make sure we kind of have the same brush to start to make it fair, okay? So first, what color is your brush? You see where I'm pointing? It should be white. And do we want it to be white to make things visible? Good. Now just do like a couple clicks for me. Nothing's happening yet, right? But do you guys see over here? It's so subtle. Do you see that there's little white dots starting to appear? Okay, do one other thing for me. Come back to your screen while you have B for brush on. Your screen should look like a cursor, like this. Does it look, sorry, your mouse, does it look like that? No plus sign? If it doesn't look like a plus sign, hit B for brush again, because it should look like a plus sign. And it's just B. Is this highlighted over here on the side? Okay, what does your cursor look like if it's not a plus sign? What the heck? You're making me look bad, Photoshop. Okay, cursor, circle, that's fine. Let's do this. Right click wherever you are and tell me if this happens to your screen. Do you get a size? Okay, good. We'll go with that. Make the size like, let's do 75. Hopefully that's not too big. And then start clicking and you should start seeing bigger areas pop up. Are you guys seeing bigger areas pop up on your little scratcher? Okay. You can keep clicking and give yourself carpal tunnel, that's fine. Or you can click and hold and just kind of wiggle it around like it is a scratcher ticket. Okay. Try to see how many of these you can find. In just a minute, I'm going to have you guys do one other thing for me. Okay, freeze where you are. In Naima's time, that was a minute. Hit, above your enter key, there is a slash. Hit the slash for me. And tell me what you think that did. Yeah, it's giving you a preview of your mask. So if you look at this tiny little thumbnail here, my eyes are no good for that thumbnail. So I always hit the slash key. So the red part is where your mask still exists. So if I wanted more of this Lego right here, I could come right here and keep going. Okay? So do one other thing for me. So, sorry, what button shows you a preview of your mask? Slash. If you can make a Guns N' Roses reference, try to remember that. I will be so impressed. And if you don't know what that means, I'm old. Nice to meet you. Okay. The other thing I want you guys to do, it doesn't matter what screen you do this in, hit the X key for me and then give it a wiggle. And then hit the X key again and give it a wiggle. And try to see if you can figure out what's going on. Okay, whoops, I'm starting to write covering it up. I'm easily influenced. What does this do? Mask preview. Okay, let me tell you guys what the X key does. Look at your paint colors on the far left at the bottom and hit X. Do you see clearly what it's doing now? It's just toggling back and forth between black and white. So in this case, it allows us to toggle back and forth between colors, or between masking and not masking. In a nutshell, it toggles between colors. And since we have black and white picked right now, it's really toggling back and forth between masking and unmasking. So if I turn off my layer mask and I hit X, I'm essentially making that Lego disappear. I can tell Soren wants to steal it, so I'm like, bury it. Okay? If I have no choice, he's holding me hostage and I need to show him where the brick is, what should I hit? X. It turns it to white and now I can reveal where it is. Conceptually, does it make sense what we just did? Kind of. It might be a whole new concept, might seem a little crazy. Spend a couple more minutes going through, toggling between all of this. Keep your brush where it is, toggle between mask preview, the colors, and then I want to see in just a few minutes how many Lego pieces you end up finding. Okay, I'll check in just a minute. And then we'll move on to the next part.
So slash and X do the same thing.
Different things. So slash, do you see how it's turning my mask preview on and off? Okay, look down here in my colors. If I hit X, it's toggling back and forth between the colors. Got it?
I hit slash if nothing happens.
So you may have deleted your whole mask. So hit this slash for me. There we go. Yeah, see how it's still there? Yeah, so this is giving a preview. That's where you've gotten rid of all of it. And if you keep brushing over here, you can end up seeing more of your Lego. Yep, you're in black, so you're adding it. Hit X to change it to white. So hit your X key for me. X is easier. Good. And now come up here and try to get this whole Lego out of there. There you go. And then even like right here, you can start taking it off. Perfect. Good. That works. Uh-huh. That looks good. Oh, so hit slash, this one right here above the enter key. Good. So you still, there might be some more treasures hidden up in here. Oh, and then, so do V for brush. Uh-huh. Good. And now, I think you're bringing the mask back. So change, just hit X, and that'll go back and forth. Yep. And then I can start moving them. There you go. Okay. All right, for those of you who have gone through most of it, how many Legos did you guys find? 7? Yep. I can't remember how many. That sounds about right. Now, before you guys go today, I actually have this for you guys to turn back in as part of your exercise. So just before you go, thanks, Jean. If you look at photoshopping for gold, it'll get there eventually. I'm asking you for 2 things. So first, submit your PSD file for verification, and then in your text entry or in your comments, just tell me how many you found. All right? Do you guys want to do that right now while we have a sec, or will you remember to do it at the end? Okay, do it now. When you're done with that, let me know you're done by opening up Chuck's PSD. Okay, this is where I'll meet you guys next. So let's keep going. So now we're switching gears again. We're still going to be talking about masks and how to mask objects. But if you take a look at our layers, how many layers do you guys see?
5.
There's 5, right? And they each have different names. So what we're doing for this next exercise is I want you guys to try and mask using kind of like the selection methods that are built into Photoshop. So I'm actually going to turn off each one of these layers except for the one I'm working on. Am I not projecting? Okay, good. All right. So with this quick selection, the way that it works is everybody go ahead, the shortcut is W. That's what that first letter is. And take a look over here. As soon as you hit it, it takes you to the command. And see how I've got W magic wand? If you come over to the icon and right click, you can either select the magic wand or the quick selection. So let's practice that first. So everybody hit escape and then hit V, because that's usually where we're hanging out. Okay, so V is where we are the majority of the time. Now go ahead and hit W again. And did it select this little brush with like a dotted loopy on it? Okay. And if you wanted to go to the magic wand, again, you'd right click and go to magic wand. We're not there yet, but I just kind of wanted to show you how these files were set up. And now what we want to do is using our cursor, kind of like a brush, we just click and hold, and we're going to try to grab as much of the shoe as we can. And with the magic wand, Photoshop does a pretty good job of trying to select the item for us. So essentially what we're trying to do is isolate the shoe from the white background. It might struggle on the laces, that's okay. This is just an exercise for us to get familiar with how each one of these work. If it doesn't work, you can always hit escape, Control D, start over. Now let me point out a couple things. On my screen, do you see these dashed lines that are highlighted? I like to call these the marching ants, or ants marching. The ants marching let me know what's selected. If you want to deselect something, hit Control D and they go away. So that's another way of starting over. So tell me again, what's the shortcut for deselect? Control D. So again, I'm going to go back to wand. Go ahead and try to brush in that shoe the best you can. Again, it's just a click and drag. Okay. And then when you're done, take a look at my screen. I'm going to show you what to do next. So we're talking about masking today, right? After you have an object selected, there's actually a shortcut to mask something. Do you guys see this? It looks like a rectangle with a black circle in it. This means add layer mask. So if I click on this, do you see that now I have this black and white checkerboard? The white background is gone, and you can see I have a mask here now. I think I did that too fast. Take a look at my screen one more time. So I only have the shoe. Everything else is off. This is key. If your other layers aren't off, you're going to see the white coming through the other layers. And I am going to click this mask, add layer mask. And as soon as I do, the white background is gone. And then I also have the mask here. So when I have the mask, I can hit the slash and preview it just like I did before. Okay. Go ahead and try that. If it didn't work or you want to watch one more time, I'm going to start this one all over again. So I'm typically in V for move. I've turned all the other layers off, and my shortcut for quick selection is W. And I'm just going to kind of drag, try the best I can to select. It's not perfect. Next week we'll go over perfection. We're close to it, the best we can. I totally messed up there. That's okay. And then I just hit the mask button again. Forgot the star. Forgot this part of the shoe. That's okay. We just kind of want to see how it works. If you're really unhappy with it, again, you can hit Control Z and try again. Next week we'll get into better selecting and deselecting techniques so we can be a little bit more precise. But for now, all I want you guys to do is explore what each one does. So I'm going to hit Control D. One thing that I'm going to point out, sorry, let me back up a little bit. Why did I do that? Let me go back. I think I may have accidentally deleted my mask. Yes, I got excited. One more time. Thank you. So what this is allowing us to do, again, is it's isolating the white background. So if we wanted to Photoshop this shoe like on a shelf in a store or put it on a person's body, now we don't have a white box around it. Whenever you see this gray and white checkerboard in Photoshop or just about any other program, it doesn't mean that it's going to print a checkerboard, but it stands for transparency. So transparency means that there is no color. You can see through it. There's only a few file types that will let you actually have transparent or invisible pixels, and PSD or Photoshop files is one of them. Okay? So once you get one, what I want you to do next, go to Magic Wand. So again, turn off that first layer, turn on the next one, hit W again in case you came off of it, click on Magic Wand and try your best at masking. So again, it won't be perfect. Try and select what you can. And as soon as you think you have something selected that might be worthwhile, click the mask again. I just have to preface, they won't be perfect. I just want you to see what each one does. With each one as you go on, make sure to turn off the others And I just want you to try these on your own. If you guys don't mind, take a look at my screen really quick. Once you get to the lassos, again, right click, there's many lassos. One hint, as you're going through the lassos to select, okay, not this one. This one's really hard. You just have the lasso tool, you just click and hold and trace. I'm not doing a very good job. I'll let you guys come back and do it. But on the magnetic one and the poly one, let's say you start lassoing. And see how this happened? Obviously not what I want to do. You can hit escape to start over, or if you just got a little off course like this and you don't want to start over, hit the backspace key and it gets rid of these points. So again, if you get off course, hit backspace to get rid of the points, and you kind of have to follow your cursor with it because it's going to keep trying to add more. Or to start over, hit escape. Okay. These will be things that we do over and over again in the semester. Just practice them for today, and in a minute we're going to discuss which ones you liked most. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to try and go through each one. Okay, cool. So really this exercise is just to show you what each one of the selection methods do. Next week we're going to start combining them. So we'll start with the quick select, and the areas where it kind of messes up, we'll either use the poly or the magnetic to kind of really come in and trim it up. So you can start combining these. I always like to ask what people like, because since quick selection came out, I hardly use anything else. My favorite are the quick selection and the polygonal one, but I think that most people's favorites is the magic wand. I think that I'm not patient enough. It takes too long to latch. Curious, does anybody here have like an iPad Pro or a Surface Pro with a stylus? You have one? Anybody else? Okay, so if you have if you have a stylus, you can download these programs on whatever pad you have, and you can actually start using your stylus to do some of the selection. So it's not a full-blown version of Photoshop. It's like Photoshop Express, but you can do your selecting there and then import into here. So it's kind of fun to, kind of fun to work with. I'm working with our IT department to find out why we can't see the Creative Cloud. Again, what the cloud allows us to do is to save our files with Adobe so we can access them anywhere. When I tried last week, it was basically like your IT department does not allow this. So I emailed them last week. I haven't heard back, but I'm hoping that at some point of this semester we can get that feature too. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly go through the remaining ones just so you can see kind of where I am versus where you were. To be honest, magic wand is pretty useless for this exercise. So I'm just going to go ahead and mask it. Wait, did I do the opposite? Yeah. Actually, let me do it this way. Let me cheat. I'm going to select out here and then mask it. Nope, still horrible. Okay, so it just goes to show, magic wand, not great for this exercise. Did you guys get the shoe or the background when you were going for it? The background? Okay. I did the opposite of what I wanted to do. And I'm going to head down to lasso. So L for lasso. Now the lasso tool I would never ever ever recommend using after today. Don't do it. I think it'll just ruin your wrists. Holding the mouse for this long and trying to make smooth movements like this, you will get carpal tunnel in about a week. So again, I held my mouse, dragged around, and then turned on the mask again. It's fine. You know, it's okay. Now let's go to magnetic. So as I'm working, you guys will notice, let me come back up here. Not only am I turning on the layer, but I'm also selecting the layer. So the layer that I have on is also the layer that's selected. I'm moving to magnetic by using the right click, and I have to zoom in a little bit, maybe too much. So again, with this one, I click a lot because sometimes Adobe will have it perfect, and then all of a sudden, just like a human, it'll second guess itself and undo all of the good work it has done. So to prevent that, I just click a lot more than is necessary. And again, if I go off course like this, I hit backspace and eventually it gets back on course. And as I was hitting backspace, just like right here, I have to move my cursor kind of back over to where I want it to be. Oops. It has a hard time separating the white from the white background, so with these I'm clicking a ton. It still doesn't like it. It's going to look like it has a scalloped edge up there. It's okay. We'll learn how to fix that next time we're here. Okay, then I hit mask again. Not too bad. So again, I'm going to turn it off, select poly, and turn it on. This one's really similar to the magnetic, but I like it because if you do a whole bunch of little clicks, you can actually get it to look pretty smooth. And I just want to hurry and get through it so that we can move on to the next thing. So conceptually, I don't expect any of you guys to be masters yet, but do you see where we're trying to go with this? Different selection methods in order to help us mask easier, so you don't have to brush over everything. Did you guys kind of catch the two of them? Okay. Now remember, next week we're going to start putting all of these together. We're going to see what we can get with the quick selection and then come back and try to clean it up a little bit. So now, what I want you guys to do on your own is, remember how I had you guys download a few other files? These chairs right here. So if you look at the assignment description, I want you to, actually let me go through because I changed the assignment just a little bit. I don't want to contradict myself. So I want you guys to at least go through and do the brewer, the spark, and an image of your choice, okay? And essentially what you'll be doing with each of those is you're gonna open up the JPEG. So let me start one of them with you. Let's do the spark series. So in Photoshop, go ahead and open the spark chair, and you can come back and finish this one later. My computer just froze and I have an hour and 7 minutes of recording and it's restarting. Oh my god. Wait, did you crash? I don't care about Photoshop, I just care about my recording. No! Recording. Okay, I have to like Vogue the rest of this because I do not want to lose this lecture. Okay. When you open up your Spark series, you're just going to have one layer. So if you have it open, look at your layer manager. First thing to check, is it locked? Does it have that little lock at the end of the name? Okay, unlock it for me. Just click the little lock and it should be unlocked now. Now what I'd like you guys to do, using our example that we just did, I want you to go through and duplicate this chair 5 times. And you're going to do that selection method 5 times on this one. You're going to do, I can't list them all, I don't remember them all, but the W magic wand, the W quick selection, all of those things. So you're going to do that in the spark, the brewer, and one of your choice. Does that make sense? You're going to open it, unlock it, create and name the layers, and go through all of the selection. Everybody got that? Kind of? Yes. So go to your layer manager, and then there should be a little lock. There you go. So after you've done that, with this chair right here, you can't see my screen, there's one called, I think it's called the Bertoa. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but it's crazy wire mesh. Don't do that with every one of them because you'll go crazy. Pick your favorite and try to isolate it just with your favorite one. Okay? And I am going to try to figure out what happened